morning is so far our coldest day of the year. It is -12 Fahrenheit, and luckily there is no wind, or it would be much colder. And we've kind of had this Arctic blast thing going on for a little while, and I think we might be seeing the other side of it pretty soon. Now, one of the most common questions new chicken owners have is how well do chickens tolerate the cold weather, especially if you live somewhere where it gets below freezing. And chickens are really darn cold hardy. Some breeds are obviously more cold hardy than others, but there's also a few things you can do to help your chickens survive those really cold snaps a little easier. They all look just fine. They have plenty of food and water, and obviously that's number one. Make sure that they have unfrozen water to drink and plenty of food, because chickens will eat a lot to stay warm, just like any other creature. The other thing is to make sure that your coop is draft free, because nothing can kill a chicken quicker than a cold draft coming through. It's just impossible for them to hold their body heat if it's constantly being whisked away by a breeze. Chickens will snuggle up together on the roost, so having more than a couple chickens can definitely help where they can share body heat. And then of course, other than just pure surviving the cold, you have to worry about frostbite. So if you live somewhere that you get decently cold winters, it's probably prudent to consider a breed of rooster, if you're going to have roosters, that don't get excessively large combs, because those really tall combs are really prone to frostbite. In fact, our head rooster Nonami, a few years ago, we had where we got down to -40 wind chill, and he ended up losing pretty much the entirety of his comb. It didn't seem like it was painful or anything for him, but you know, you hate for that kind of thing to happen. Another common area for chickens to get frostbite is on their feet. And one of the best ways that you can prevent that is by having roost bars that lay flat, where chickens actually sit their feet flat on the bars and then they can lay on top of their feet, which helps to keep their feet warm. And that's what we did in our coop for that reason. And of course, some people like to add supplemental heat to the coop. In fact, we do, but it's not an extreme amount of heat. Our supplemental heat only keeps the coop about 10 to 12 degrees above the ambient temperature. And originally we did that because we were trying to keep the water from freezing all the time. We didn't want to mess with water heaters and all that, but I'm sure the chickens appreciate it as well. However, if you do add supplemental heat to your coop all winter long, then if the chickens have to go without it, they may be more susceptible to cold injuries. My hands and feet are cold. I did not come appropriately prepared for -12. And we're supposed to get up to like I think 17 today or something like that. So it's gonna warm up quite a bit. I'm continuing with my goal of this winter being as fully stocked up with processed foods as much as possible, with things like beef stew that I canned potatoes, and some other different things. That way, when it comes to planting season, garden season, and harvest season, in the middle of all that, I'm trying to cook breakfasts and dinners and all that from scratch, and it can become really overwhelming quick, like it kind of did last year, because I didn't have that many things stocked up that were just ready to pull off the pantry and cook. And so the goal this year is to completely fill up the pantry as much as possible, in the freezers, with things like that are going to make life so much easier this year. So today the goal is to do a 5-gallon pot of mashed potatoes, and I'm going to bag all those and freeze them in like serving size quantities. And that's going to be so easy and nice, because then when comes mealtime and I don't have a lot of time to do things like make mashed potatoes, I can just pull out a bag out of the freezer and thaw it, and yay, mashed potatoes. It's just really nice having your own processed foods. Normally most people just go buy canned beef stew and things like that, or flaked mashed potatoes in a box, But, when you try to eat really healthy and as naturally and as from scratch as possible, all those things are off the table. So that's what I'm doing, processing all my own food to make life easier this summer. Oh my goodness, Kaja is starting her spring shed early, I think. One thing, I absolutely love the Elkhound breed. She's a Norwegian Elkhound. But the one thing about them is, man, they shed. It's funny because I was reading on, I think it was a Reddit post where somebody asked, just how much do the Elkhounds shed? And somebody said they shed twice a year for 6 months at a time. That's pretty accurate. But yeah, when she sheds, she just entirely blows her coat. And she blows her coat twice a year, in spring and then kind of later in the fall. And yeah, I think we're there because she hugged me one time and yep, everything is destroyed. We're going down to the shed to get a bale of hay because I want to put a layer of hay in the chicken coop. It's been quite a while since I was able to get in the chicken coop to clean it because it's just been one of those Januaries where we have really stayed snowed in and I haven't been able to really get in there to clean it. So I'm gonna put a layer of hay down on top of all the mess on the floor to just buy them a little more time. It looks like we're going to get or start to thaw next week and I should be able to get in there to clean then. And they should be able to get out of there. And yes, of course, it would be easier to carry this down here if I went and got the four-wheeler, but then Kaja wouldn't have as much fun. And she's been cooped up too. She definitely wanted to get out and do some sniffing and tracking and making little snow tunnels. Why is this the hiding spot? Come on. Oh. This is our rooster, Whitey. He is our youngest rooster, and he is a mix between a Buff Orpington and a Salmon Faverolles. And he has a much larger comb than our Salmon Faverolles roosters ever did. And he did end up getting some frostbite from the recent cold snap that we've had. And that was even with us raising the coop temperature by like 10 to 12 degrees. So he's definitely going to lose a little bit of his comb, unfortunately. There again, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to like choosing your roosters kind of for how cold your climate gets. You're going to want, if you want to prevent frostbite on combs, look for roosters that don't get really large combs. My potatoes are all done and I'm just gonna let them cool off in the fridge overnight and then bag them tomorrow because I definitely do not want to put warm food in plastic bags. So I'll deal with that tomorrow, which is fine because it's kind of late anyway and I need to get dinner started. And next week is going to be a pretty darn busy week. Hopefully I'll be able to get a video out and I'm hoping to start tapping maple trees next week. We'll see how it goes.